Hey there, I'm Patricia Sweeney, and today I want to talk with you about the new era of the entrepreneur. It's exactly what I see all of us stepping into to finally shed all of the resistance and the fear and the struggle and the stuck that so many of us have faced in our business. And the idea even of entrepreneur and what that means feels really heavy, I think. Because it's not about the results that you get. It's not about the push and the hustle and all of that stuff that you hear people talking about. Because if you're actually pushing against what's in alignment for you, you're going to completely take yourself out of your own flow state. And that is the place that you're going to live and thrive and create the reality that you really want in your life. So I want to just talk about language, okay? Language is a huge part of who we are and our belief systems. Because having an entrepreneurial spirit, one of the key things that defines you from other humans is the fact that you have different kinds of beliefs. You're passionate and motivated, and you're also willing to take risks. But from where I stand and in my own personal experience and my business and the successes and the failures that I've had and learned from them, is that beliefs is always where it starts. And the underlying piece of all of our lives that feed into our beliefs is our language. Language is a unifier. Language informs us on every level of our being. Let's just take the word information, for instance. Let's go ahead and break it up. Information. We are informing ourselves at the ion. That's our whole being. That's the smallest piece of us. So when we take on information and we share information and we hear information, we are informing our entire being at an ionic level. So how do you hear information? Through language and with your ears. So how many words do you speak every day? That's a lot. How many thoughts do you think every day? That's also a lot. Ever heard of the idea of reinforcing a habit? The repetitiveness of a thing reinforces it. And so if you're speaking and thinking and listening to information on an ongoing basis and you're informing your entire self at an ionic level, this is why the information, the words that we use, and the information that we hear from other people that we surround ourselves with make such an important impact on who we are and how we choose to show up based on the beliefs that we have. So why does it work this way? Okay, so the information that we take on and the language that we hear, think, and participate in around us informs our entire being and actually programs our subconscious minds. Now, let's take a look at how big of an impact that is on us. There's this amazing book called The Ant and the Elephant. Now, this gentleman, the author of this book, he actually became an Olympic skier after only 4 years of practicing, where most people spend their entire life training to be an Olympic skier, okay? How did he do this? He understood that the information that he was taking in was informing his body at an ionic level, essentially programming his subconscious. And the name of the book, The Ant and the Elephant, where he goes into this, is talking about how big our subconscious is comparatively to our conscious mind. The thing that we try to use to push, to push, to push. Can you imagine the ant pushing the elephant to do anything? Come on, we know who's going to win that fight. So if we want to win the game, right, of our life, if we want to have and create the reality that we truly desire, we have to understand how to program the elephant, how to dig in and speak to and rewire that subconscious mind. And that's the information that we take in. So I want to start with the 2 words that I think are super important for us to rewire ourselves with. The first thing is logic, okay? Logic is that thinky brain that we allow ourselves to get into. So I want you to imagine that we're driving along a beautiful summer road, and all of a sudden, the breeze is blowing, the birds are chirping, and you see a fork in the road in front of you. And you're like, wow, I've never been that way before. Nope, it's not on the map, but I want to check it out. I want to see what it's all about. It's kind of like the choice of being an entrepreneur, by the way. Everyone has to create their own map. But when you decide to veer off, what immediately is going to happen? Your subconscious, your ego mind is going to try to stop you because you don't have a map. Maybe you can get lost. Well, nobody else has ever been this way. Are you ever really going to get to the destination that you want? And on and on and on, the logic will show up. And so what is the word logic? It's the log I see. And so it's like throwing a log in front of the road that you're trying to drive down. You're not going to get very far when you allow logic to show up and run the show. You've got to get into how it feels, the things that you want to do. And then that's how you're going to steer and create the life that you want. Now, another word that I want to talk about is entrepreneur. So we have a societal belief of what being an entrepreneur is all about. It's about the success, the money, how much you make, right? It's about the push, the grind, and the hustle. And that's how you're going to get to where you want to get. And we also know, on the other side of that most new businesses fail. And it's hard work. Being an entrepreneur means you have to be uber committed and it's hard work, right? Do you believe that? I believe most people believe that. And so that word, entrepreneur, let's just feel it. It kind of feels here a little scary, and it feels a little heavy, and feels maybe like, whew, I don't really know if I want to do that. Well, what I see is that entrepreneurs are just people who have an entrepreneurial spirit, right? You can be working in a job and still have an entrepreneurial spirit. You can be starting an own business because you have an entrepreneurial spirit. There's so many ways that you can express this in your world. And being an entrepreneur, right, doesn't mean anything more than you're someone who's willing to take action before something else is going to show up. So you act in faith. Your belief system and your passion and your willingness to take risks allows you to be an entrepreneur. And it's when you develop this entrepreneurial spirit that you can create the life that you want. So let's actually break down the word entrepreneur, just like we did logic. EntrepreNEWER. So the word entre just means to enter. That's what it means. Pre just means before. And then newer is the root word in things like neurology, right? And so it's all about our brains and our nervous system and all those things, right? So something new, you have to take action, enter into action before something new shows up, because enter is an action verb. So you have to enter into action before something new in your body is going to show up. And you literally just hear the word newer, right? It's new, it's newer. And so if we can take on the idea that it's our entrepreneurial spirit that we want to cultivate in order to become the entrepreneur and the successful person in this life that we want, then you're way ahead of the game, because your wordology is your biology. That's an important one. Write that down. And I've given you a couple examples today of exactly how that works. So, to create the life that you truly want, to make your dreams your newest reality, step into being an entrepreneur with a beautiful entrepreneurial spirit. And you're already halfway there.